start of an epic journey down the coast of Western Australia, and I'm ready to experience everything it has to offer. Particularly the beverages. We're taking a trip down the west coast of Australia and visiting the best, tastiest wineries, distilleries, cideries and breweries the state has to offer. Also, some pretty epic scenery. It's really delicious.
Yeah, that's fresh.
I'm Madeleine Culp, and this is Last Drinks, Western Australia. I've been given the incredibly difficult job of spending 3 weeks on the road, exploring the great state of Western Australia. We've got so many fantastic stops planned and plenty of tasty tipples to come. It's a tough job, but I guess someone had to do it, and I'm glad that somebody was me. Might as well take in some sights before my first beverage. I'm kicking off my journey in Geraldton, some 400 kilometres north of Perth. Geraldton originated as a military post for nearby goldfields in 1871 and grew in importance during World War II. It's now the second largest port in the state, exporting grain and minerals. It's also a lively tourist destination, inviting coastal adventure seekers, fishing fanatics, and food lovers. But my adventure really begins nearby in Dongara, which is not famous just for its beautiful coastal scenery, but also its award-winning rum distillery. So I'm keen to get out of this wind and into the cellar door. Come on, let's go. Sometimes underappreciated things just need a champion. And lucky for rum, it's got master distiller Cody Palmer from the illegal Tender Rum Co to be that champion. His dogged determination and his scientific approach to rum has taken it to new levels. I'm really excited to explore it with you today. First up, I'm chatting with Cody and his partner Hayley in the cellar door. Tell me, what was the spark that really got you guys taking the hobby that you had seriously?
It was quite funny actually, because Cody and I were bottling in here, didn't used to look like this, and we had a little coaster bus sort of arrive at the front of the distillery just after we won our first gold medal at the China Wine and Spirit Awards. And they had a little bit of A4 bit of paper and there was a gold medal on there, and we both looked at each other and went, how did they find us? We didn't have an FPOS machine or anything, so yeah, I said to Cody, I think we probably need to really look at opening a cellar door. And yeah, we opened in October 2018. We quickly worked out that, like any businesses that are owned by a couple, you have to quickly work out what your strengths and your weaknesses are and really stay in that lane and ask for advice or an opinion rather than jumping into that lane and telling someone else how to do their job. So I don't tell him how to distill and he doesn't tell me how to run the business. So.
Yeah. So it's really made you grow together and appreciate those qualities.
The passion was really our driving force. Knowing that we could create a product is only sort of 10-20% of the overall business. The rest of that really needs to shine through in your marketing and the way you approach new vendors and, talk to your clientele as well. So we make a pretty good team, but yeah, we certainly do stay in our own lanes.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds like a really sensible advice for everybody.
Yeah, life advice right there, you're welcome.
Next up, the barrel room. And if there's one thing I know about rum, it's that barrels are pretty important. Cody uses ex-red wine French oak casks as opposed to traditional American oak barrels. So Cody, can you talk me through what's in these barrels?
Currently, they're our core range casks that we use predominantly for our Distillers Cut super premium rum. The American oak for us was just a little bit too bitter. The ex-red aspect, it adds just such a delicious additive to our current distillate. So these are definitely our core range, and then obviously we've got our single batches as well.
Oh wow, and so this is what you would use for your single batches?
Yeah, so core range aside, I still like to be extremely creative in the distillery. Once you get your core range down packed and you're really happy with the produce that you're making here, gives you, I guess, allowances to start getting very creative. All about keeping it, I guess, fresh and trialling new things as well, being as creative as I possibly can.
Aging rum in cask barrels dates back centuries. The practice originated when barrels were used to transport spirits on ships. People found that spirits not only took on the characteristics and colour of the barrels, but the spirits were more rounded and much smoother as a result. And what about these casks? Because they look like they've had a whole life and a big story to tell.
Out of all of the casks, these ones I'm particularly proud of and excited about. They're quite a lot older than the other casks that we have, and some of those casks are over in excess of 25 years old already. So these casks have come all the way from Scotland, filled with our oldest, I guess, super premium rum. And we're just going to trial and taste our way into the future to see how that flavour develops. And yeah, hopefully we'll be looking at a really cool single release soon.
And when you start out, do you have an idea of where you want to go with the flavour profiles, or is this something that as you test and you discover, you kind of think, I'll go down this avenue?
Yeah, I definitely would say a lot of what I do, and indeed probably in the distilling world, is a lot of educated hypotheses. You know, you can get the best ingredients, you can distill the best spirit, you can find the coolest, most expensive casks that you can find, and you can mature them for that minimum of 2 years, and you're really hoping they come out really good. It's all an educated guess.
Yeah.
We are the only producer that we know of that produces most of their predominant core range from dark brown sugar as opposed to the molasses counterparts. But what we have in these casks here, one has actually been produced purely from Queensland molasses, and this one here has actually been produced by the dark brown sugar, and what we're doing is sort of tracking that complexities and the flavours that we can generate from those base spirits, and that really lets your creative juices flow, I guess. So once you start adding different sugars and things like that into what you can produce into a base, you get up to 120 different variants you can play with.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot of options.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of delicious options.
Yes, yeah.
I'll be getting to taste some of those delicious options right after the break. You're watching Last Drinks, Western Australia. I'm just south of Geraldton in the town of Dongara at a legal tender, where I'm learning about all things rum. But this isn't just any rum distillery. Everything is handcrafted using Australian ingredients. Since 2015, a legal tender have won 24 World Spirit Awards. They've also won the World Rum Award for Best Column Distilled Rum 5 years old and under for the last 3 years in a row. And that's not bad. Not bad at all.
We're really proud of the way that we produce everything on premise. We're on a 122-acre property here, so we literally don't have scheme water like most people are accustomed to, so we really rely on Mother Nature to provide us with rainwater. See these lovely vessels behind us here, these are our fermenters. So we have 6 of these on premise at the moment. We will ferment, monitor everything on site, get the temperature exactly right, and we'll change the ambient temperature to what the ferment needs, and if over summer when it gets very hot, we'll cool these down as well. Yeah. The rum side of things, we want the ferments to ferment as quickly and as hot as possible and really release a lot of beautiful flavours I can capture in the distillate later on.
Wow, and how long did it take you to figure out the temperatures and take into account your environment? Was that, again, a bit of an experiment at the beginning stages?
Yeah, again, you kind of go back to the educated hypothesis, I guess you could say. It's something that I am still learning to this day. We're discovering new flavours and going back to tracking that particular ferment and really trying to grasp how that came about, because nothing from the brewing stage changes and the only variant we have is temperature. So now we've been around I guess, for the 7 years. So we've got a really good roadmap of what things at the very start change in 5-6 years in a cask. So I didn't pay attention at school. The only thing I really took detailed notes about when I was younger was yeast cultures, characteristics and, flavour profiles of distillate.
The obsession has certainly paid off. Let's have a taste, shall we?
Now, maybe my favourite part of the experience, the tasting. So what are you going to walk me through today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's generally the favourite part for anyone who takes a tour through the distillery. We do produce 5 products, in-house, but these are by far the most popular, I guess, products that we do produce. The gin came about in 2020 when we actually won at the World Rum Awards the world's best column distilled rum in the 5-year-old and under category. For our category to take that award, it was a huge achievement. I was obviously very proud of myself, and with that pride came, okay, so I think we've proven that we're doing something really great. Now what? And that's where we sort of started with the gins, and it's taken a long time for me to perfect that.
And it's such a beautiful colour. Can you walk me through how you got that colour?
What we've done to get it this beautiful blue colour to represent the Abrolhos Islands and the water around the Abrolhos Islands is kind of a 2-stage process where I've taken basically the distillate that hasn't quite made its way through the botanical basket, and I've turned the spirit yellow, lightly yellow, and then what I do is I take 2 native products found on the Abrolhos Islands. We actually grow them on premise, so bearded samphire or sea asparagus and grey saltbush. Basically they get cut up, put into a giant tea bag with the spirit, yellow, green equals blue.
Amazing. So no matter where you drink that, you can always be connected to the islands.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what we're all about, and that quirkiness. So the colour is natural. It was never really meant to be a core range product, but it got extremely popular, and we're certainly trying to keep up with that demand.
Well, I'm sold. Drink, please.
You'll know it's a dry gin.
Okay.
It's got the juniper berries in it. It's 60% juniper forward base. You definitely know it's a gin, but with that addition of the steeping, I actually do put some of the saltbush into the botanical basket as well. I'm really interested to see what your thoughts are.
I can taste a bit of that saltbush, I think. Not that I've had saltbush a lot in my life, but you can kind of get that herbiness in there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really drinkable.
Yeah, it's super sweet. There's no sugar in it, but because it has been, the base is double distilled from raw sugar, that sort of sweetness carries over with the flavour as well. So it's a very fine line. But, standard, they're both quite salty botanicals. Being on an island, they grow in salty waters. We blanch that salt out to get to the actual flavour, and I would liken both of them, they're very similar to like crisp green apple skin, and almost somewhere in between a celery and a capsicum as well. So when you blend those together, that's kind of what you're getting in there in very subtle amounts.
And it does feel like it's the island in a bottle, in a glass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
that's what we're aiming for.
Oh, love it.
Every bottle receives as meticulous treatment as the spirits they'll hold. A lot of thought goes into the process of bottling, so I thought I'd find out more from Cody about how he approaches the process.
Now, most people will just go into a bottle shop and take a bottle off the shelf and not think about the process that might have gone into it. Can you tell me how you get those bottles from here to the shelf?
Yeah, you're completely right. Obviously, a lot of people only do see the finished product on a shelf, and we do everything, as we said, from start to finish, and that does include our bottling process as well. The bottles are literally taken off a pallet, they're polished by hand, they're labelled by hand, they're rinsed, sanitised by hand, they're filled by hand, the cork stoppers are put in by hand, they're tamper-proofed by hand, and the packaging that you receive is built by hand, so we can kind of guarantee that everything's perfect for the customer.
That really speaks to that care that you put into the product.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very fastidious with the production side of things as well, but we also like to make sure everything's perfect, because when they go out into the real world and venture onto shelves all around Australia, it has to be perfect. It could be that one little flaw that sets us apart from another competing product, and that could be the difference between them purchasing and not purchasing.
I don't think there's one aspect of production that Cody hasn't laboured over. But I think it's time we get back to the final product. Let's go to the spiced cane spirit, their bestseller. In Australia, it's called a cane spirit and not rum, as it's spent less than 2 years in oak, the minimum required in Australia for rum.
So this is your most popular rum, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been producing that one since our inception, basically. That was our first release spirit.
So what have you done to it to make it so popular?
We've tried our best to really make, rum much more approachable, I guess, than what it was when we started 7 years ago. There was a lot of stigma around rum. So when we released as a rum company, we really had to produce something that people would already have a predetermined notion, I guess, of maybe they don't perhaps like it, but this is what we used at the start to convert as many people as possible, and it's really done that. When we say, this base is brewed and fermented from a dark brown sugar base. What you see up here is just our generic store-bought dark brown sugar, and this is kind of what we use here in the distillery.
It's a lot richer, a lot deeper.
Yep, and it's a lot heavier as well, and much harder to brew with. It doesn't granulate as easily, so there are subtle differences. This is what we use to produce this spiced, and it really was the best base out of all of our trials. This is actually recipe 328.
Wow.
Once we won a couple of awards, that was it.
Yeah, you settled with that.
Absolutely. I would have driven myself mad if I continued, so what we have now is our best foot forward. It'll never change, and definitely our most popular product.
From what I'm hearing from all of the stories, that you don't take the easy way, you take the most delicious way.
Yeah, absolutely. What you have to do is focus on quality over quantity and liquid to lips. That was our motto at the start. So we really had to produce something that would outperform our competitors and really turn people's ideals and mindsets towards a rum over something else they might prefer.
So now I feel like we needed a drum roll, maybe some fireworks, because this is basically your passion in a bottle.
Absolutely. So what you've got here is I always liken this product to my surrogate children.
Don't tell your actual children this.
Yes, my daughter's going to grow up to be very understanding of this. To have a legally named rum in Australia, it was one of the best moments, I guess, of our business life. Before this was even ready in 2018, we entered it into a World Spirit Award, and it won silver before it was even 2 years old. And I was really trying to get some great judging notes, because I liken it back to the hypothesis of best ingredients, best water, best distillation, and finding the best cask, and really
peer
hoping
reviewed,
for the best.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This batch this year in particular has been in a ex-red Shiraz cask out the back for 5.5 years. So taking on the terroir of, where we're located as well. Gets super hot in summer here. You want your cask to get extremely hot and ideally extremely cool overnight as well. That really allows for some really great maturation and some chemical reactions with the cask. You get a lot more, esters and flavour notes from the cask as well. After 5.5 years, I really think, we've nailed this product line, and we're really moving on to other aspects of the distillation and finding new and fantastic ingredients as well.
Wow, such a privilege to be able to have a bit of a sip of this.
Yeah, this is definitely our rarest spirit.
Absolutely got more accomplishments in life than me, this spirit. Very excited about that.
And we are only producing 600 units of these every 2 months, so super rare.
Again, you mean it when you mean small batch.
Exactly, yeah, handcrafted small batch.
I've never had a rum like that. That is really amazing.
It's obviously an extremely unique spirit, being that, we're the only people producing a product in this way and this manner, and in particular with the depth of, speculation that the entire process gets put under. So it's a juggling act between how old you want to mature it and whether it becomes then too easy to drink, and 45% really rounded that product out with a mouthfeel, etc. So
Yeah, definitely. I can see why and how much care you put into this and why you put so much care into this, because it's an amazing product.
absolutely.
Amazing drink.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hard to top that. Don't go away. More Last Drinks after the break. After an amazing day at Illegal Tender Rum, it's time to start our long journey south down Australia's west coast. But first, you can't visit the lobster capital of Western Australia without stopping for a bite. So I've got my lobster and I've just got to keep it away from those seagulls, and I'm pretty excited about tucking in.
Ooh, yeah, that's fresh. That's really good.
It really is a beautiful stretch of coastline. And now, with full bellies, it's time to push on. About halfway between Geraldton and Perth lies the Pinnacles National Park. I'm thinking this will be a pretty cool last stop before the hustle and bustle of Perth and the Swan Valley. The Pinnacles are amazing natural limestone structures formed over 25,000 years ago. Over time, coastal winds removed the surrounding sands, leaving the pillars exposed to the elements. Some of these bad boys can reach over 4 meters tall. So I'm in the middle of the Pinnacles and it's such a unique landscape. It's amazing. It just juts out of nowhere. It's really spectacular. It's like nothing else I've seen. I feel very special that I've been able to come here. It's like another planet full of shifting dunes and flowering plants. You can walk along the trail, or if you're feeling lazy, just take a drive. What an amazing start to our adventure, and we're only getting started. There's plenty more to come on this season of Last Drinks Western Australia. I'm Madeleine Culp. See you next time.